and join us for this next hour and have some fun. We've got a great guest on today. It's going to be all about the mind, body, and wellness vibes with Mark Reinisch. He's the author of The Wellness Ethic, How to Thrive in an Unpredictable World, and it is definitely unpredictable. Of course, presented by City Lifestyle Magazines, Clayton, Chesterfield, and St. Charles County. We mail them every single month to over 45,000 homes, along with 3,000 businesses. It's a luxury lifestyle magazine that tells the stories of the people, places, and things all around us in our cities and communities, and sometimes around the world. If it's maybe a great destination, or maybe it's someone from here that's doing something really great in another part of the country or world, we want to be able to shine a spotlight on them. If you're interested in partnering or being a part of our magazines or our show here, the In Your City Show, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at In Your City Show. You can also go to inyourcityshow.com. Email us, let us know what you have on your mind. If there's a story that you want to tell, or maybe there's a business that you want to elevate with impact with our magazines or our show, we'd love to talk more with you about that. So you had a pretty exciting morning yesterday, and got to meet someone really cool. Tell us a little bit about that, Gordon.
It was Joe Gibbs. He was in town for a men's breakfast.
And Joe Gibbs is who?
Joe Gibbs is the 3-time Super Bowl winning coach of the Washington Redskins.
The Washington or Washington?
Washington Redskins. And he now is a 5-time NASCAR champion because he owns a NASCAR team as well.
Oh my gosh. Now it's not the Washington Redskins anymore, right? Didn't they have to change their name? Or
they changed it to the Commanders.
I don't like that.
Well,
doesn't even
you
feel
might
right.
get your wish because our sitting president is wanting them to change their name back to the Washington Redskins.
How do they feel about
the
it?
Same way with the Cleveland, oh my gosh, what are they called? I can't even remember what they're called. Cleveland Indians just had to change their name too. So
I don't understand how that is. And maybe, I mean, I'm not Indian, Italian, but I don't know why that's offensive to me. Indians representing a fabulous football team is pretty incredible.
Well, Indians is the Cleveland Indians baseball team.
Or the Redskin. Well, that's an Indian. Redskin. That's a type of an Indian.
Redskins could probably be looked at like if you were to say a derogatory term like the Mexican wetbacks, something like that.
But we don't have that name. That's not
right.
used, and that would be wrong. That's like the Chicago Bears. Are the Bears offended that they're a football team?
Yeah, but it's more of an ethnic thing, so
I guess.
But the Indians I really don't get, because an Indian is an Indian, right? It's like it's not
That's not a derogatory. That's just a nationality. And what they're saying is, to me, a football team is strong and dedicated and
off the pancakes. When in reality, she embraced,
became very wealthy.
and she embraced that.
Yeah.
So.
And that it's kind of like, to me, it's like she was like a grandma figure, kept plump and just in the kitchen, just like a grandma would be. But I guess, you don't really understand exactly enough. But to me, Indians are strong. The Washington Redskins or the Cleveland Indians, they're strong, they're dedicated. To me, that's a compliment. But what do I know? So anyway, so he came to Joe Gibbs, came in town to St. Charles.
Had 1,000 men there, and he has a book out called Game Plan for Life. And what he's done is he's taken like 8 or 9 professional men who excel in 9 different categories. One is about finances, one is about love lives, it's all about different things in life, but it's all based around the Bible, and using God's word as your game plan for life. And that's what he did. One thing I didn't know is that both of his sons died at the age of 49.
Wow. How?
Yeah. I don't know exactly how. I didn't get into that. But yeah,
2 sons. Is that all he had, was 2 sons? Were they football players? Do you know anything about them?
They helped him with the NASCAR team. But yeah, I didn't.
Is it in the book?
Yeah, but I haven't had a chance to read it. I just got it yesterday.
I mean, that's incredible to, losing two sons. I mean, that's you losing one child is more than you could possibly imagine of ever handling, and then two of them at a very young age as well.
And he went through some financial troubles early on because what he did, typically when you get money, you want to invest in things. And he invested in some bad investments and some real estate properties in Oklahoma, and didn't turn out the way he wanted to, and didn't know how he was going to get out of it. And
I think a lot of times when you read a book and you meet someone like Joe Gibbs, who's speaking, who's written a book, I'm not sure if he's always had God strong in his life, or if this came
No, he
later
didn't.
with all
He
his
talks
trials
about
and
that.
tribulations. And I think that does happen. Two things happen. I think sometimes when, really incredible things happen to your life that cause you as tragic, you'll find peace in finding, your spiritual or religious, I guess, knowledge to get you through it, your faith. But they tend to speak or write a book, and I guess that's how we get to learn how other people get through some pretty traumatic situations, by them taking the time to share their story by speaking, writing a book. Usually that's how it happens, is because of that reason.
Well, if you look at it, almost every man in the Bible, if he was here alive today, he would probably have a speaking event and a book that he had
He
written.
would.
Not just what the Bible says, but apparently, because almost all of those guys have a testimony,
Yeah.
about where their life was before God and where their life was after God. And not only that, where their life was during the time that God had a plan for them, but they did not see that plan but later on in life, as they look back, they go, oh, so this is why God did what he did.
But to have a faith, because sometimes you can lose that or be angry. I mean, to lose two sons, you don't question, why does that happen? You have this strong faith, and then unfortunately, no matter what your faith is, stuff is still going to happen,
Right.
in life. But it was cool. I was listening the other day. I'm like, and now everybody's going to notice it if they haven't noticed it already. I cannot stand that I say it's like, why can't I just say nothing? Why does have to come out? It's like part of the thought process, and it allows that next sentence or something to happen. How do you break those kind of habits? Every time I'm hearing myself do it, I'm losing my train of thought because I don't want to say Do you have something you say that you hate?
You know what? I don't
hate that I do that.
I think I probably say
You say actually. That's not bad. That's
know.
not is annoying. To just say nothing. It doesn't even need to be in the sentence.
I think I might, because of our good friend Brian. I think sometimes
You
I say so now.
So you can't just start a sentence.
Yeah.
So that means, listen to me. I'm about to say something really worthwhile. It is
listen to me, I'm about to say something worthwhile. Or so yours wasn't as important as mine. So let me tell you about mine.
Exactly. But I do. So count how many times I say in the next 15 minutes and tell me about it later.
You could actually turn this into a drinking game.
Every time Kelly says you have to drink your cocktail or
happy
mocktail.
hour in almost
happy hour after I get done saying 1,000 times. Gosh, I can't stand it.
So Katie Holmes and Joshua Jackson reunite. Do you know they were both in Dawson's Creek?
Is that the blonde?
Well, you know who Katie Holmes is.
Of course. She was married to Tom Cruise.
Yes, Joshua Jackson. 22 years after Dawson's Creek for a new romantic film trilogy titled Happy Hours.
Oh, I've been hearing, I don't know if it's because of our show, but I feel like all these events and things are being like the happy hour. And I'm like, okay, did we start a new trend? I think it is. We did. We're always ahead of our game. So is it the blonde-haired guy?
For every time somebody's at happy hour.
Was it the blonde-haired guy? I used to like Dawson's Creek. I enjoyed that show. That's okay. Yeah, I just thought maybe you knew who it was. I can't put a face with that actor. And the only one that is coming to my mind is the blonde who starred on the show.
Right, and we talked about yesterday's show with Jennifer. We talked about where she's just so excited that The Devil Wears Prada 2 is coming back.
That's her favorite.
That's the second one, be May 6th of next year. But there's also another one. Do you remember?
Gordon says too, apparently.
Do you remember the movie Freaky Friday with Jamie
Yes.
Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan?
They've made more of those movies where the stars go back in time and reverse age, or which is kind of like, okay, we're done with this.
Now they got a new one.
Oh, of course they do.
Freakier Friday. But Jamie Lee Curtis said she would not do a remake until something happened.
What would that be?
Until Lindsay Lohan was old enough to actually look like she would be her daughter at an age where she would have a daughter.
So they're coming back to do that together again?
Freakier Friday, yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I'd probably watch it when it's free on Netflix when it comes back. You know, I thought this was cool, talking about stars. There we go, drink. If they did a letter, Desi Arnaz, you know, and Lucille Ball were married.
Yeah.
And just recently it came out, this love letter that Desi had written to Lucille. Oh, okay. Well, oh my gosh, did he play? He didn't play in A Walk to
That's
Remember,
them
was
now.
that? Oh, they look great together.
Yeah.
Show the screen that. Show the screen who it is.
Can you
So
see?
they know. Can you see that?
No,
They're a good looking couple.
I have to bring him up.
I like that. Was he the one who played in Walk to Remember? My favorite movie? I think he's played the boyfriend, the one that married
I don't know.
Mandy Moore. Yes, isn't that the singer's name who starred in that? Anyway, back to my story.
Anyways,
he, you know, they divorced, sadly, but he loved her. Apparently, their love never died. He just unfortunately couldn't quit cheating, I guess. You know, when you're on the road and doing the shows, I guess things can happen. They didn't have, you know, video back then. But actually what happened was they had one last phone call right before Desi had passed away. And then
yeah, he was a big time player.
Yeah, I guess he had a lot of fun. But the daughter said that actually their dad wrote one letter that said, "I love Lucy." And he talked about how Lucy made people laugh and that she never ever, which is so true when you think about it, never lost her feminine appeal in that physical, messy comedy that she always did. You know, the cramming the chocolates in her mouth. Remember that, you know, that show? And something was always happening
Right.
to Lucy in a show. She was always making something a mess. But he said she never lost her feminine appeal. And he said Lucy was the show. Viv, Fred, and myself, we were just props. We were damn good props, but we are props nevertheless. That P.S. I Love Lucy was never just a title.
You've got some explaining to do.
Meaning that I love Lucy. So I thought it was kind of cool that, you know, even though we know that they had a turbulent end and he was cheating, that he actually never, his love never ended for that. And then wrote her a love letter that wasn't read until after he had passed away.
Oh, wow.
And Robert, there you go, drink. Robert Stack read it on stage. So that was kind of cool. So little love going on. Do we have our guest? Is he in queue waiting to come on and be part of the
Not seeing it.
show?
No.
We are waiting for that. This is the perfect time for him to be on with us right now. So that's the hard part.
Well, why don't we find out about what's going on at the movies real quick?
Yeah, let's hear what Ian has to say at the Marcus Theaters.
Hello everyone, Ian here, and welcome back to the Marcus Recap. Starting as always with the box office results, at number 1 is Superman with $57.2 million. In second, Jurassic World Rebirth with $23.4 million. In third, I Know What You Did Last Summer with $13 million. In fourth, Smurfs with $11 million. And in fifth, F1 with $9.6 million. Fathom, the 21st to the 23rd, as part of Studio Ghibli Fest, you can catch My Neighbor Totoro. And on the 27th, you can catch Ick. Also on the 27th, you can join us for Roger Waters' This Is Not a Drill, live in Prague. For Kids Dream, also on the 27th, you can catch The Wild Robot. And finally, one new release to look forward to this weekend, a big one with The Fantastic Four, First Steps. This has been Ian with this week's edition of The Recap.
It's in.
All right, that's what's going on at the movies right now.
You know what? Why don't we check out Cat Muse has got what the bands is going to be playing for the weekend. Why don't we hear what the music's going on with Cat Muse? And then hopefully by then we'll come back and we will be able to speak to Mark about the wellness ethic.
Thanks, Kelly and Gordon. Here's what's going on in music. Friday, kick off your weekend right with Happy Hand Grenades at Rebar. Right next door, Self-Inflicted at Salvatore's in St. Charles. Kevin Wayne Gruen debuts at Woodsford Golf Club. And Toxic Johnny will be at Charlotte Pub, where all the best musicians play and the music matters. Smoke and Fogey will be at Old London. The Fry Project will be at Reds and Imperial. Captain Ed and the Catamarans will be at the Mill in Granite City. And 10 Times Zero will be at St. Charles Music House. Soulard Island Dudes will be at Grant's Farm. And the Steve Ewing Band will be at Broadway Oyster Bar. Rough Riders will be at Trainwreck. And Friction Drive will be at the Boathouse on the North Shore. Griffin and the Gargoyles will be at Frankie Martin's Garden. And Justice is Served at KT Saloon. And it's Speakeasy Friday with Miss Jubilee at Das Bevo. Saturday, Mayday Rocks at Nancy's Night Shift. And Cherry Bomb debuts at Four Brothers Mead in Festus. Bad Karma will be at St. Charles Music House. Billy Peak will be under the stars at St. Ferdinand Park. I hope to see you there. And Draw will be at St. Charles County Fair. After midnight will be at Tuners. And Toxic Johnny will be at the Hog Pit in Grafton. Sweet Tea and the Shower Beers will be at Sky Music Lounge. 5-Star Roscoe Light will be at the Sawmill Barbecue Pub and Grill. Big Mike's Blues Party featuring Andrew Duncan at the Hideout. And St. Louis Sweetheart, Miss Jen Norman will be at the Garden Cafe. Helen Bag will be at Dog Perry Tavern. And in Bridgeville will be at the Pump House. 40 miles to Vegas will be at Rebar. Plastic Kings will be at Longshots Tiki Bar. Platinum Rock Legends will be at Frankie Martin's Garden. And 0 to 90 will be at Brewski's in O'Fallon. Decades Apart will be at Parrots. Celebrating 2 birthdays, Jerry and James. Happy birthday, guys. And Tupper Flinching will be at the Firehouse Bar and Grill. And Sounds of Summer, Magic Band, the tribute to Heart, will be at Chesterfield Amphitheater. Sunday Fun Day. Close Quarters will be at KT Saloon. Hallenbach will be at BS Bar and Grill for the bike night. Matt Garvey will be at St. Charles Music House. And Smoke and Fogey will be at Dog Perry Tavern. And 2 Pedros will be at Copper Fire. Kevin Wayne Gruen will be at La Chance Winery. And Jumbo Shrimp Band will be at Sky Music Lounge. Live music is better. Thank you for supporting our artists and venues. Check out STL Roar Monday nights from 7 to 9 and have a safe week. St. Louis.
Listen to a white boy play the song for Big Red Blue.
Cat, we always love knowing what's going on the weekend, and always amazed at all the bands that are out there, and excited to see Billy Peak is playing. He is getting up there. He was a good friend of my mom and
Did
dad's.
he like play in your living room?
He did. He brought his guitar over and was playing right there in the living room. And then I was glad that my mom actually got to see him play again before she passed, and she enjoyed seeing him. So anyway, we are excited to meet an author, Mark Reinisch. He is a life coach and humorist. There's 2 things to put together, isn't it? And he has the book, The Wellness Ethic. And at the top, you can see the work ethic has been crossed out. Welcome to the show, Mark. We're glad to have you. And did I say your last name correctly?
You did. And sometimes I even mispronounce it. So we're good.
It's always hard when you're saying names and you're hoping that you don't mess them up. And I usually do. So I just own it and ask and make sure that, we did good. But I love empower your wellness ethic and thrive. Those are your words. And so let's just, let's get in and talk about this book and the foundation of the wellness ethic. You have a story about how you changed it from the work ethic to the wellness ethic. And I like that. So give us a little bit how you define wellness, and you're guided by this book to help us, not the work ethic, but the wellness ethic.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with a work ethic. I have a work ethic. I work very hard. But it has to translate to happiness and health. And what's happening far too often in today's society is that the term work ethic has been hijacked in a way. So companies will want more and more productivity. It becomes a badge of honor. Sometimes if you even sleep in the office, as crazy as that may sound, or work throughout the weekends. And the reality of what's happening is people are feeling burnt out. There was a recent Mercer study that showed that 82% of people are on the verge of being burnt out. That's a crisis. And that's because of the overwork, financial stress, struggle in their personal life, trying to make ends meet, all the disruption going on in the world, job insecurity, and you can just add it up. But there is a better way. And you can thrive even with all the chaos and the challenges in life. And that's what I propose in the wellness ethic. And the wellness ethic
Hmm.
is where you work hard for your well-being, and that can include your profession, absolutely. Find more meaning and joy in your work. It's your personal life. It's certainly building a healthy mind, body, and spirit. It's having loving relationships. It's trying to find that balance in your life, and it's never perfect. But that's the essence of the wellness ethic, moving forward in that direction.
And it is hard. It truly is hard to find that balance at times and not allow yourself to get burnt out and to keep enjoying day to day what you're doing. So right. And it is so unpredictable every day. And with news being 24/7, we're always hit with something that affects us or affects someone around us that ends up affecting us. It's kind of like that ripple effect, everything that's happening.
And also too, it's like when I realize with myself, if one of those mind, body, or spirit is off kilter, even just one of them, it's like everything's off kilter. You know what I mean? It only takes one of those things to not be right for me, and then I'm just a mess for that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why one of the first things I recommend is to focus on building a good mind, body, and spirit foundation. Work on developing healthy habits in all three. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. You don't have to do it all overnight. And again, it's never going to be perfect. But if you say, take something like you want to strive for healthier living, well, exercise each day. Start small. Walk for 10 minutes. Get in that routine each day. Build up to 30 minutes a day of brisk walking. And the science shows that that's going to do wonders for your health. Once you have that healthy routine, then maybe you start focusing on healthy eating. Focus on nutrient dense foods. You don't necessarily have to count calories or go on a specialized diet unless you have those health needs. You can keep it simple and just make the right choices and build positive habits step by step. And it can be very transformational for your life.
Yeah. You talk about the North Star of love. You say the love is the wellness ethnic, the ethnic's North Star. How do you help people tap into that daily, especially when things do feel so out of control? Tell us a little bit about that North Star.
Yeah. The I believe the meaning of life is to feel and share love. And that can be an enormously powerful concept. So if you take every single aspect of your life and put it through the lens of love, and it can start with loving yourself. And that may seem like an obvious thing, but we all can struggle with that. We can beat ourselves up over a
Oh yeah.
mistake or a breakup in a relationship. There's dozens of ways each day that you could focus on that you'll end up liking yourself less if you allowed it. But if you shift that frame and understand that you're always worthy of love, we're never perfect, everyone makes mistakes, and you do things intentionally to bring more love into your life. You could start by developing a habit of doing something kind for yourself every day. For me, it's brewing a big pot of tea. I love it, and it brings joy to my life. Something very simple, it's a daily ritual. If you are in a relationship, how can you better connect with that person and feel and share more love? You can do special things for that person randomly when they're not expecting it. In your daily interactions, you could have your conversations be more positive by being very intentional. And I'll show you how in the book. The point is, every single thing you do, if you put it through the lens of love at work, at home, your personal life, it becomes habit forming. It starts to shift your mindset. And that's a easy way to bring more love into your life.
Sure.
What got you to write this book? What was it that said, I need to write this book?
Yeah, for my entire adult life, and I won't age myself by telling you how many years I've been an
That's
adult.
okay. I've got you beat, so
But
go ahead.
all right. So I had a lot to be thankful for. I always had a wonderful family, a wife, 2 children that I adore. Always had a good job, was able to make ends meet. I had some very interesting side hustles, like I wrote a dozen comedic screenplays. I launched a social media platform and ended up selling it, which was a nice little event. So a lot to be grateful for, but I wasn't feeling it every day. I always had these aspirations that were falling short. I envisioned this perfect life, being like going about each day like a Buddhist monk, just total serenity, accomplishing these great achievements that people would write about, always falling short. And I knew that's not the way to live, but every year I tried to change it and it just wasn't sticking. So around 6 years ago, I had this epiphany. I've always wanted to write a book. Why not write a book about wellness and unlock the secrets, simplify it so I could apply the lessons to my own life? And I thought if I can eclipse the blinding daylight between inspired living and my own life, my actual existence, I could help others do the same. That got me excited. And then when I thought, when I finish this book and I get it published, even if I sold 100 copies, that's not the outcome I'm looking for. I'm looking to transform my life, have a positive influence on others, and very importantly, leave a legacy for my children. So long after I'm gone, they'll have this book that they can tap into for all the wisdom I've accumulated in my life in my voice. And once I thought about it in those terms, it was something I absolutely had to do. And it's been just a terrific experience.
Oh, I'm sure it is. There's an area in your book because you have I guess a 5 whys exercise that you offer
Yeah.
in the book, but then you also talk about there's a time to use it and a time maybe it won't. Like for instance, if a saber-toothed tiger is about to attack you, you don't have time to go through the 5 whys. So what's the
Yeah.
difference of using something in a situation that is we're going to look at the book, that it needs quick decision, and then using the 5 whys or an exercise in another decision? I mean, life can be complicated, right? Where do we get
Yeah.
the wellness to do it correctly?
Yeah. And what I was doing there is, having some fun with the writing. So
And you do quite often as well.
yeah, thank you. And so the 5 whys for the audience is a technique that actually originated in Japan with Toyota, where they would have their engineers look at a problem. It could be a production of a car, and ask, why is that happening? The defect. And then they'd come up with an idea, but no, the problem actually goes deeper. So they'd ask why again, and then keep on asking why until it revealed the truth of the situation. So an example that I use in the book, if my computer breaks down, I can get upset very quickly. It's a disruption in my day. I'm going to struggle with the technology, and I get all stressed out. And then I think, well, why do I do that? Well, the computer broke down. Okay, yeah, and you got upset. Well, why did you get upset? So let me probe deeper, and I keep on asking why. And it comes down to the root cause that I haven't made spirituality a habit in my life. So if I meditate more, bring calm and peace, that's going to carry throughout the day. So when I get into a difficult situation, well, I'm going to be able to respond much more calmer and keep perspective. And that's what Gordon was talking about, where mind, body, spirit is all interconnected. If you're thriving in those areas and building those healthy habits, it's going to have a ripple effect on practically all aspects of your life. So that would be an example of the 5 whys.
Yeah, absolutely. Did I didn't want to
No,
I have so many questions, and I know you do too.
so we talk about the 80-20 rule in a lot of things, in life. But your 80-20 rule in wellness, can you give me some practical example of how that works in real life?
Sure. The 80-20 rule is also known as the Pareto principle. And what that means is 80% of the impact of the benefits of something can be derived just from 20% of the actions. So if you focus on the vital few opportunities that are going to be most impactful to your life, you're going to get the most good. So as a quick example, if you want to exercise and get the benefits of what exercise can do for you, you could go buy a gym membership and spend 2.5 hours every day in the gym. Then you could come home, go for a walk, and lift more weights. You could go to the extreme. And in some cases, you may want to do that. There may be health reasons. You may be trying for optimal performance. You may be a bodybuilder. So there could be valid reasons to do that, or you may just love to do it. But for the average person, you don't have to do that to get the benefits of exercise. So you could simply, as I mentioned before, establish a routine of 30 minutes of brisk walking. Do that 5 days a week. And I talked with a fitness trainer as I was writing the book to get his perspective. And he said, Mark, that's really all you have to do. And then on top of that, the science shows you that if you do strength training each week, that's going to improve your mortality significantly. But you don't have to do it every day. Do it 2 or 3 times a week. A simple 20-minute routine. You don't have to buy expensive exercise equipment. I use simple barbells and a kettlebell, and I have a nice 20-minute routine that I do 3 times a week. Then mix in a little bit of mobility exercising. Maybe when you wake up, stretch for 5 or 10 minutes each day. That simple routine, once you start doing it, it's habit. You're on autopilot. You don't even have to think about it. And if you don't do it for a day or two, you just don't feel right. You got to get back into it, and you're driven to do that. And that's when you keep it simple and just do the basics, but you make them into a habit. Again, it truly can be transformational. And that's what I really talk about in the wellness ethic. I try to make wellness accessible and very actionable.
Yeah, which is important. They say your style is praised for fast-paced, packed with humor, and you do have some stories in there. You're not afraid to talk about yourself in situations, which is great. And before we have to wrap the interview up, you say stupid things happen, and you've given us some advice and some tips and things to be able to put action into our own life. Is there a favorite story that has actually changed someone's life after embracing the wellness ethic book?
Well, there's a lot of personal stories in the book. Probably a third of the book is storytelling, because I wanted to show what good and not so good looks like to make the
Right.
concept bring to life. So as an example, there was this senior executive that I knew from years ago, and I'd reached out and said, "Hey, will you buy the book and take a look at it? Let me know what you think." And she read it, and she had just been either laid off or left her company because it was a very toxic work environment. And she sent me a message with a picture of the book open, and she said, when I started reading this book, I didn't know that I needed to read this book in this very moment, because it is helping me sort through this very challenging time, helping me to develop a healthy perspective, because she was realizing that really the two only things that you control in life is your mindset and how you respond to life. And she said this was inspiring her to be empowered and move forward beyond this situation. And that just gives me goosebumps thinking about that. It could have had that positive impact on a person's life. And I've heard that from several people, that have read the book. So I'm very encouraged.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have something that you
Yeah, I
wanted to ask?
I've been going through the book, and there's so many things that stick out to me, and I just love the fact that you have a choice. Do you want to be positive or negative person? And we do have choices, and sometimes we don't make those choices properly, and it takes just as much effort to be a positive person as it does to be a negative person. It's the same amount of effort. It's just, but we choose to always, so many of us, I would say, I don't know, you probably have a better percentage than I do, but so many of us choose to take that negative route over the positive route for some reason. And I just found that interesting. It was something that really just popped out to me in the book. And the art of responding, that was another thing. It's like some of us don't respond too well.
No. And can we come back and talk about this then?
Yeah.
So Mark, can you hang on a minute while we got to take it to a commercial break to pay the bills here at the KLIS station?
Sure.
Can you hang on a minute? We'll do a commercial and then we'll be right back and talk a little bit more about the wellness ethic.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to take it to a break here on In Your City Show. We're going to be back. We're going to talk some more. Got a couple questions that we'd love to get answered. So we'll be right back on the Lou Information Station right here at KLIS 590 and the louinfo.com.
Kelly, we were talking to Jennifer yesterday, and we were talking all about style and the things in her closet and how expensive some of the
I want to
clothes
see
are.
her closet.
But
It's got to be amazing.
even though your clothes are stylish, maybe your closet's not stylish. It's not matching the style that you got hanging up in there.
That's true.
St. Louis Closet Company has you covered, from custom closets and pantries to home, office, and mudrooms. We even talked about garages. We talked about all kinds of things and great solutions that they got to fit your life and your space. They're locally owned and operated right here in Maplewood. Every system is made in-house with premium materials and expert craftsmanship. That's what I love. Right here, made in St. Louis, made in America. We want you to visit stlouisclosetco.com. I always mess that up. I want to say St. Louis Closet Company, but it's stlouisclosetco.com to schedule your free consultation today. That's stlouisclosetco.com. Organization starts with St. Louis Closet.
Yeah, she always says go from chaos to calm. And it truly does that when you get that chaotic feeling inside your closet. So now we're going to go from chaos to calm, and we're going to go from wellness with the mind, body, and spirit.
We were talking about, before we left the commercial, we were talking about how people respond.
Yeah, we're talking to Mark Reinisch. He is the author of The Wellness Ethic, and some great advice. It's not the work ethic, it's the wellness ethic, and it's how to thrive in an unpredictable world where stupid things can happen, and stupid things happen all the time. So thank you for staying on with us and coming back, because we could all use all the help we can get to try to be balanced and live in more of a healthy wellness environment rather than the constant chaos and clutter that we allow to happen to us. And I know Gordon had just talked about, before we had went to break, about how people respond and how we're
how important that is. As it's kind of like a technique, and it's an art form to be able to respond properly.
True, because when you respond wrong, as we all know too well, how it can end up turning out. So help us out here a little bit, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the book, I have a very simple model called the accept, frame, respond model. So any situation in your life, especially when they're the challenging situations, the first step is to accept reality of what has happened. Don't be in denial. Don't procrastinate. Understand that good and bad things happen to everyone. No one's immune from it. That's the nature of life. Change is constant. So you're going to have your fair share of challenging things. Accept it. And then once you accept that, then you go to the next step of framing it. So how do you want to view it? Now, you could be very negative. You could lash out at life. You could blame others. It's not going to help you. It's not going to make you happier. Or you can have a positive, life affirming, reality based framing to put what happened in perspective. And then once you do that, you choose your response. And that's one of the most empowering concepts in life, that no matter what has happened, you are always empowered to choose your response, to move your life forward in the best way that you can, even though it'll never be perfect, but you do have that empowerment to move forward rather than to stagnate or to give up. So, to give you a quick example that I write about in the book, during the Great Recession in 2009, I worked for Bank of America, and we got hit hard. Our stock dropped from like $60 a share to under $5 a share. And I always thought I was immune from a layoff. I always worked hard, rated exceeds, was respected. But as I saw layer after layer above me, respected leaders getting laid off, I had a feeling I'm going to be impacted. And I ended up losing my job. Now I had a young family, 2 daughters, my wife. I had a house, a mortgage. The housing market had plummeted. The job market was dismal. And in my specialty, which was in business transformation and process improvement, we were viewed by many corporations as a luxury. When you had to tighten the belt, we were usually one of the first ones that they would let go. So prospects were dismal. But the way I looked at it was I accepted the reality that whether I like it or not, something stupid has happened. I've been laid off and I've got a family to provide for. And I've got to pick myself up. So I framed it as actually a gift, that this has given me a wonderful opportunity to reinvent myself. I found working in the financial services sector as unfulfilling. Some people love it, and that's wonderful. It wasn't my calling. But this, and I probably wouldn't have left because I wouldn't have wanted to take a financial hit. But by being laid off, it actually ended up being a blessing. I had no choice but to reinvent myself. So I framed it as actually a positive event, and I knew that one way or another, I am going to recover from this. It may take longer than I like, but it's going to happen. So then, because I had that healthy framing and that positive energy, I put all my focus into choosing my response. And my response was to put my house on the market proactively, try to sell it, and look for a job in a field that was more aligned with my life purpose. And within 3 months, I found a job, a nice paying job, and we sold our house. And I actually was getting double pay because I still had severance left over as I started my new job. It ended up being a very big win for me. And I attribute that to having a positive mindset throughout the process. I chose my response.
That's where, and that's not always easy to do, to choose your response, especially when you're in the heart of failure or something happening. I was one of those that fell victim to 2008, lost everything, my business, saw things being wheeled up the driveway to pay last employees. And, at the time you're going through this. And sometimes I always say everything happens for a reason, right? But sometimes it's hard to put you in that frame. It's really a practice that you have to have so that it doesn't stick with you, that you can know that there's a better opportunity if you can actually do what you said, frame that, be able to see and take that advantage of that. So I guess it's a practice that you have to continue to have when you want to weather the storm and find your way out of it. So I'm sure reading your book will definitely help us to put some practices into our life when stupid things happen that, really take over the moment. We really appreciate you, Mark, coming in or virtually with us here and sharing your book, sharing some of the knowledge that's within it that we can use at home to help keep our life a little bit more balanced and in tune, and be able to have those 3 areas, mind, body, and spirit, thriving, in an unpredictable world. So thank you so much. I'm sure.
One question real quick. We got like 10 seconds. Answer me in 10 seconds. If you could wellness coach any famous person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. That'd be a sensational one. And when you get to do it, Mark, we want to watch the video when that happens.
No, I'll bring him on this show and we can have a live coaching session.
Even better. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Mark. We really appreciate you spending time with us here on the In Your City show. We look forward to more and reading your next book that comes out as well. So thank you for joining us. And for those tuning in and listening, get your hands on the book, The Wellness Wellness Ethic. It will change your life and allow you to frame those moments that are difficult. So until our next show, we appreciate you tuning into the Lou Information Station right here at KLIS 590 and the In Your City show. Be sure to subscribe. Stay tuned. There's always great guests and more fun to have here on the show. Until our next show.